Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 794. And the white pieces and start off with d4. And my opponent frustrated my plans for playing a normal d4 opening by playing e6. Of course, if I wanted to put a d4 opening, I could insist by playing c4 here. You see that's the second choice. But really e4 is the main move. If you can get two pawns in the center like that, you probably should. And now normally when black is playing this way with the e6 there, they're following up with d5 to play a French defense, just to kind of trick you into playing a French defense. You'll see that's the top choice there by an overwhelming margin. But my opponent continued to play games with me by playing c5. So he's transposed from a queen's pawn opening to a king's pawn opening French defense to a Sicilian defense after knight f3, which is the main move here. And you see how like there are only 61 times that c5 was played in the database in this position, but after I play knight f3, we've transposed into a line of the Sicilian with almost 9,000 games. So very typical e6 Sicilian. And he takes, I take, and then lots of ways to continue. The two main ones are knight c6, the Taimanov, or a6, the Khan variation. Let's see, but my opponent played bishop to c5, and well, this was played by Paulsen against Morphy at the in the American Go Congress of where was it, 1859 or something like that. It was like the first big Congress, first big international chess tournament that Morphy had participated in. It was in the United States, it was in New York, but there were international masters coming in from the continent, and Paulsen was one of them. And Morphy and Paulsen finished in the top two slots and played a four-game playoff that Morphy won. And when Morphy had the white pieces, he played e4, and Paulsen always responded with the Sicilian, and he played this line with the bishop to c5. I don't remember all of the different things that Morphy tried. He might have tried the knight c3 line here. Looking at this with the chess engine, actually bishop e3, the second choice there, is the favorite of the chess engine. But I did remember this knight b3 move. It seems like a reasonable thing to do to just gain a tempo on that bishop. And then I didn't really remember anything more. It seems like knight c3 is a fine move in this position. Cancel that, knight c3. But, well, I was thinking maybe the knight might do well over on the king side now that this knight was chased to the queen side. So I started out with knight to d2. And we're just out of the opening book at this point. Let's see, he went knight e7. And all this is okay. It's no big... I probably would have gotten a bigger advantage with white if I'd played differently, but it is still about even. Let's see, he castled. I castled. He went d5. And I exchanged. So it is an interesting point of this system that black got that d5 move in without stopping at d6 on the way. So he's kind of gained a tempo and chased my knight off to this square on the queen side. So it seems like black is doing fine here. Let's see, I get my knight over to f3. My white's doing fine as well, so no big issues either way. And right here, so this sacrifice is entirely unsound, and I played bishop takes h7 check in this position. So, but my opponent didn't exactly refute it, but maybe you can refute it. You should probably, if it's so easily refutable that you can do it before you play the move, you should take a chance. And I mean, you should not play it, right, if you can see the refutation. And I probably should have been able to see the refutation here. I didn't really. I need to think ahead one or two more moves. But, well, here's your chance. How can black refute this Greek gift sacrifice? Okay, pause the video if you want time to think about it. I'm going to give the answer away now. Now, I do have all the key ingredients of the Greek gift sacrifice. The one thing I don't have, we will get to in a moment. Let's see, he takes, I check. I take with check, he takes back, I go here, check. And the refutation is simply just to drop back. You should always drop back if you can survive, if you're not going to get mated. And the thing is, after queen h5, this is the refutation. The knight came back to f6 and just defends all these key squares. So if we go back to that original position where I'm thinking about the sacrifice, okay, I have to have these three pieces, you know, the queen and the bishop on these two diagonals, the knight ready to hop into g4. I have to have control of the g4 square, which I do with my bishop. He's only got the queen on it. So I have all of those, and the knight is not on f6 defending. The only thing I don't have is I don't have control of the f6 square. Like if I had a pawn here on if I had a pawn on e5 so that the knight couldn't easily get back to f6, then I think this sacrifice would be worth playing. But in this condition, in this position, I really should not play the sacrifice. It's just wrong. Okay, so he took, I took. And fortunately for me, he played the more adventurous king g6. And after this, the position is quite unclear. The chess engine gives a slight edge to black, actually, but it approves of the way I played this. So queen d3 check is a good move. f5 blocking, that was the top engine choice, and queen g3 also top engine choice. And now he went bishop to c7, hitting my queen, and I went f4. These are also top engine moves. And then he went king f6. King f6 maybe is a slight mistake, but still black should have some edge here with good play. Let's see. The way I played this with knight h7 is not the approved line. Now, the way the chess engine wants to play this is with c4, kicking that knight. So kind of interesting. Yeah, I didn't think kicking the knight was good at this point because he can just take on f4, and this looks, well, no, that just gives up the knight. Taking on f4 is not an issue because I've got the rook on that square. I was thinking that he had good squares to go to. He could drop back to e7. I mean, I thought about that c4 move, but for everywhere the square goes, for everywhere the knight, whatever square the knight chooses to go to, the chess engine seems to find some good move for white. So, for example, if the knight goes there, the bishop comes to d2, threatening to go to this diagonal, and the king is starting to run short of squares. So this looks like this is good for white. And if the knight drops back this way, then bishop to e3 seems like a good move. So anyway, I couldn't say why this is winning in all cases, but it seems like c4 is the best move here. Yeah, maybe there are ways for black to defend, but yeah, taking the pawn just seems wrong. Anyway, this check, but that was the reason I had this here is this is the computer line that thinks white is winning here. It's funny stuff. Okay, so anyway, I saw a chance to get back some material, and I didn't see any great way to advance the attack, so I played knight h7 check, and grabbed the knight, and he took with the king, and he should be okay. I mean, he's got two pieces for the rook. His king is not in such bad shape, and I have to get my pieces into the game. So so he plays okay for a while here. Queen f6. Let's see. I went c4 now, kicking the knight. He threw in this bishop b6 check. I don't think that made too much difference, and then dropped with his knight back to e7. And went bishop to c3, getting my bishop to an active post, harassing his queen. And right here was, yeah, his next move is actually the one that gives away the game. He could have played queen to g6 here. Not h6, queen to g6. Just opposing my queen. It's defended by his knight here. And I don't want to trade queens. I might go here. And then the chess engine gives this kind of funny move. Knight to g8, and then rook a to d1. And well, I mean, it's not a big advantage to black. It's just a slight advantage, and you know, white has pressure and attacking chances. So I wouldn't mind being white in this position. But anyway, it's still a game, and the chess engine actually prefers black slightly. Instead, he went bishop d4, probably thinking I would take with the bishop. And then it's just some trades, and he's relieving the pressure on this diagonal. And if I don't take, he's thinking he can take on c3. But I don't take with the bishop, I take with the knight. And so this actually just loses a piece for black, because after he takes with the knight, he can't get out of the pin. And well, the most accurate way to play this is to play the immediate queen f2. putting some more pressure on the knight with the queen. If he defends, then bring the rook over. I played it somewhat inaccurately, although still keeping some advantage. After a knight takes, I went rook a d1, and he had some funny idea here with knight to e2, hitting my queen while I hit his queen. In fact, on the surface, it might seem like he's totally escaped, but well, it's not so simple. So let's look at a couple of lines. Let's see. Queen h3 is the chess engine line here, just moving away, and now the queen is under attack. So chess engine gives knight takes c3, and after that, there's rook to d8 check, throwing then this intermediate check, king here, and queen to f8, and I'm just winning with this attack on his king. I've got this threat, immediate threat of rook f8 here, which would win a queen. His knight is still hanging over here, and yeah, so this turns out to be a win for turns out to be a win for white. So it's not so easy to escape with this knight e2 move. But after queen h3, let's see, he could also try queen h6, and this looks like the best try. But oddly enough, I can still come out ahead by trading queens, playing bishop e5, getting the bishop out of the range of this knight. And this knight is trapped, so he's not going to be able to extract that knight. He could play knight c6 going after my bishop, but well, after these exchanges, you can take here, I can take back. This knight is still trapped. All these squares are covered. That's covered by the rook, the pawn, the rook, the pawn, and the rook, and the rook and the king cover that one. So every square could go to is covered, and he has no more tricks at this point. So so I'm going to win that, and I'll have two rooks against a rook and a bishop, so I'll be up the exchange, and that should be winning as well. So so anyway, ever since this bishop d4 move was played, he was losing, and I played this not quite in the best order, but I did well enough, I guess. But queen f2 is the most accurate move there, getting the queen away from that knight e2 idea. Instead, I played rook d1. Anyway, he paused to defend his knight, and I attack it again with the queen, and now there's just no saving it, and so I'm just winning the rest of the way. I didn't make any more mistakes at this point. We just go directly into an endgame. He might have tried, I suppose, to keep more material on, but that would still be losing. So now with the rooks against rook and bishop, it's kind of just a matter of in-game technique, holding onto my pawns, activating my king, and then I'm going to trade off my rook for the bishop at the right point. But this is not yet the right point because he's attacking this pawn. I want to keep things kind of sealed up here. Don't want his rook to get active, and now I can take the bishop and pawn for the rook. And so I've got a rook endgame where I'm a couple pawns up, and moreover his pawns are all weak. They're all isolated, and his king is not in a good position. So it's a pretty straightforward win. It just takes some time and a little bit of care. But actually I played this part pretty well, making up for my unsound sacrifice, I guess. I managed to convert at this point. Let's see. Yeah, and I'm just going after these weak pawns. Eventually, I mean, I was willing to trade this pawn for one of these, and then I would have connected passers out here. He decided to hold on to these pawns instead, but, well, my king is coming in, and, you know, his king was sort of caught in the middle, had to try and defend against this pawn, and also needs to defend these pawns, so just could not be held. And now I'm marching my h-pawn through for a queen, and he just manages to give some checks, but there's no way to stop me from queening at this point, and he resigned. So anyway, it was a fun game, even if it was unsound, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you again soon. Bye.